Hi, this is Mark Anderson with a video of our Lab 12. This is a demo of what the board connected to the DE2 will do when you are running the frequency generator. Right here we have our frequency generator running at 700 hertz, 700 cycles per second, and we're feeding it into PA0, which, if you recall, PA0 is our VN, and then that's also connected to our oscilloscope. So we're looking at the input, which is that 700 hertz sine wave, and then we're looking at the output of the DAC, which is PA4, okay, and that's on channel 2 of our oscilloscope. So the DE2 board's not doing anything interesting. The LEDs are flashing so quickly that you really can't see too much from them. But if we look at our oscilloscope output, you can see that we have two mostly identical sine waves. They're both 3 volts peak to peak. And the top one is the original, the analog version, and the bottom one is the analog version that went through the ADC and then was digitized by the DAC. So not that interesting. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to change the frequency and see what happens. Okay, here, let me put my, we're going to increase the frequency, okay? Now the oscilloscope, we need to change the horizontal resolution so that we can look at it. Oh, look what's happening. The sine wave created by the frequency generator is an analog signal, and you can see that it's smooth. But look what's happening to our digitized output out of the DAC, right? You're seeing the discrete levels of the ADC and the DAC. As we increase the frequency, there's fewer and fewer times to sample the sine wave, and so it starts to look like a stair step instead of a smooth function. Let's increase the frequency even more. And here we go. Now we're up to like 29,000 hertz. And you can see things are jittering so much. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a single trace, and you can see what has happened to our digitized waveform. You can see where we have one cycle of our sine wave. You can see that there's just discrete levels, and those are the digitized samples of the waveform. Okay, and you can see that we're not getting very many samples per cycle. We got one there, one there, one there, one there. We're just about at what they call the Nyquist criterion, which is the frequency above which you can't accurately reproduce the sine wave. Okay, now this is looking at it as a sine wave, and then your job in the second part of this lab, the second programming task you have, is to change the digitized output from a regular sine wave. Let's make it look like a sine wave again by decreasing the frequency. Okay, and let's get this to run here. Okay. Back down at 700 hertz. Your job is every time you go around your while loop, grabbing another VN value, digitizing it with the analog to digital converter, and then writing that digitized value to the DAC. You want to make a determination. If you're above 1.5 volts, you want to go all the way to the top of the scale. In other words, you want to give the DAC the largest number that goes in its 12-bit register, which would be 4095, right? And if the waveform happens to be below half of the 1.5 volts, so less than 1.5 volts, you want to give the DAC a 0 for its 12-bit digitized value. And then you'll make a very nice waveform. I could show you that. But let's see, I'm going to cut this video short. You can imagine what that lower waveform would look like if every time the upper waveform got above 1.5 volts, halfway up its swing, okay, halfway up its total altitude there, the bottom waveform, if it gets above it, it would go to 3 volts. If it was below 1.5 volts, it would go to 0. It'd be a nice square wave. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.